Hi everyone. So right in the middle of the previous section, we just had that little light flash and we lost the internet for a moment for about 5 minutes or so. And I've come back and I liked the first section. I just liked the flow I was in. So I'm just going to continue where we left off and we'll make this part one, part two. So, there's a real value there that develops into when you're dealing with people and you're dealing with yourself. It comes down to a thing called loyalty. Being loyal to who you truly are and be loyal to the people you're in relationship with. Now, loyalty is a fascinating quality because it requires the ability to be vulnerable with both your weaknesses and your strengths. Now, what I mean by that is you need to be open to acknowledging your weaknesses and dealing with them. And you also need to be open to dealing with your strengths and acknowledging them and living them. In other words, being loyal means you have to open up to the gifts that you have been given, the uniqueness of who you are, your own unique ability to make decisions, the gifts that you bring to the world that no one else does, what you bring to the table that's special for you. As well as going, okay, in this area of life, leave me out of it, I'm not that good at it, or I tend to get carried away here. And I acknowledge that. Now, if I'm going to use that at all, how can I turn that into an asset? How can I take that weakness and discover the strength within that? It may be a strength of just letting something go and letting other people do it. That's one of the most basic. Hey, if you're not strong in a particular area, allow someone who is the chance to shine there. But it also allows you to, take things that you thought were weaknesses and convert them and transmute them into real strengths. Like an inability to do something can often be an incredible ability to receive support in that area, to allow other people the space to really do stuff, to shine, to do stuff they're good at doing, and, to take a lot of the pressure off you so that things can be done far more efficiently. One of the great things I've learned through my 10 years now of working with human design is everybody is designed to do something very specific and unique to them. And every person is designed to receive support to help them do what they're designed to do. And it's that ability to receive, allow yourself to be helped, allow yourself to be empowered, allow someone else to do it, make it really simple, where you're open to receive. That's so powerful. And at the same time, to know that openness lets in so many possibilities. Talk about all the people who are desperately looking for abundance. Our ability to receive is incredible. So many things, turn on the TV, walk down the street, read the newspaper, even meditate, and that we pick up on so much. And the key that blends the two together is the ability to know, to decide for yourself what things that you're receiving empower you to do what you're designed to do and what things don't. And the vast majority don't. But there are certain things that you pick up on that you can hook into or accept because they empower you to do a much better job at what you're designed to do. Now, all of that comes with loyalty to yourself, loyalty to your experience. But that requires that you change inside in such a way that you understand what you're capable of doing and you open up to the help you can get, but you're very discerning about what you take on board. Not discriminatory. You're discerning. You know, does it help me or not? If it doesn't, hey, maybe it'll help other people. Maybe it's no good for anybody. Who knows? But it's not for me. And that's what I love about human design and the work I've done in that in the last 10 years. You know, when Uranus was in Aries, you know. So honestly, it is so great at distinguishing not only what I'm designed to do, and therefore it comes to me easily, but deciding what things to let on board and what things to let go of, no matter how attractive they may be, or, you know, how other people rave about them, or I might want them, but they don't work for me. They don't bring out the best in me. So that's a quality in Taurus that each of us, and I know I'm being general here, and I'm doing it for a very, very specific reason. Because this is a 7-year process, and giving you highlights that excite you isn't going to help. This is really down to earth. This is growing something from a seed, you know, planting trees. This is what this is about, and allowing them to grow into maturity and producing their full potential. That's what Taurus is about. And that's what's happening in technology, in consciousness, in innovation, in the world for the next 7 years. You know, things that have substance, that can grow, that produce value, that are good for you, you know, good decisions. They're the things that are going to stand out, not just things that people want to do because they think they own the exclusive rights to consciousness or what's good for people, or any old tech, you know, any improvement in technology is going to help. You know, it's not true. Nor is it true that all technology is evil. You know, not even remotely. It's about getting that awareness of what works for you, what has substance, what has value. And that applies right across the board to everything that has been done over the last 84 years. Now, I was around for a big chunk of that. You know, born in 1948, not 48, and involved with the alternative scene, one of the original hippies, you know, baby boomer, we're going to change the world, da-da-da-da-da. And I've seen the best and I've seen the worst of it. And I've seen what has helped people over time and what has got them into being very, almost expressions of the very thing they revolted against, or that we revolted against. You know, dictatorial, this is the way it has to be, you know, idealistic, without feet on the ground substance. And now's the time to become aware of where's the value, what really helps people in their physical lives. How can this be built into our societies, our lifestyle structures, into our health system, into your health system, in, whatever it is you do to take care of your own health, whatever it is that you do to become more aware and more conscious, whatever it is that you do in your relationship with the earth that gives you real value. It's going to be a great time for taking consciousness, being conscious, and really bringing that down to earth. Making it available to everyday people. And I love the word common sense. I'm a very idealistic, incredibly magical type of person. I have been for most of my life. The one thing I'm learning now, and the one thing that's blossoming, I can even feel myself in it. I'm glad I waited until Uranus moved into Taurus, because the very, 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 very first degrees of Taurus are the most Taurian. The very first part of any sign is the purest of that quality. And I can feel it, common sense, being down to earth, feeling good, seeing the beauty in life, being willing to change internally, so that what I've learned, what I'm aware of, what I've given birth to, the seed in me that I've developed, being a person who's, I'm almost 70 now, so I've been around for a while, but there's a seed in me, so that can sprout, so I can share whatever wisdom or whatever I've given birth to in my life with other people. And for young people to go, okay, it's time for common sense, down to earth. How can you apply all these grand ideas in the real world? And there's a lot of problems in the real world. A lot of unresolved things. But being idealistic alone is not going to solve it. Having ideals that can be applied in reality and work in the situation that you're in. I'm privileged, and I have been all my life, to live in countries, Australia, America, now Thailand, that are relatively together. Now a lot of people have lived terrible lives in Australia and America, drugs and drinking and going bankrupt and all sorts of, people have gone through that and come out of it far better, but a lot of people haven't. I'd see people in third world countries who are far happier than in first world countries. So it's not black and white. But there's real things that need to be addressed. How do you deal with real dictators? Bring out the best in them, rather than just try and kill them off and have the whole country collapse into worse chaos. How do you provide really healthy health services for people? How do you deal with people who are displaced without that dragging you down? How do you lift them up rather than just give them somewhere and get them to do the dirty work? How do you deal with the hatred and the division and the polarization? And it just goes on and on and on. Well, if you're going to build something that's consciously going to contribute to that improving, whether it's technology or or anything else. It's going to have to be based on common sense. You know, in the work that I do, I work with helping people truly accept their, you know, how they're designed to be, and to be able to, from that point, to relate to other people in a way where the differences become assets, not obstacles or reasons to polarize, and help them discover what unique gifts they have and how to actually bring that out in the real world so other people can benefit from it. And give people stories that truly inspire them, that are still rich with adventure, you know, but don't have to go 95 or 120 minutes full of just, you know, slaughter and car chases and living on the edge of your seat, so you can share a few moments of tenderness, you know, and still get people to pay the money for it, you know. It's just, how do you live a truly adventurous life that doesn't require so much suffering, pain, killing, all that sort of stuff? It's possible. It happens. I've experienced it. I've experienced the other stuff too. And I know that it can be real. And it's going to have to start with common sense. Well, it doesn't have to because I said so, but the time is so ripe now for the next 7 years. Awareness, loyalty, innovation that's common, that makes sense to real people, gives people something of real value, not distraction, not revs them up and gets them excited and then just leaves them hanging there. Something that changes people from within, brings about internal change in their life. This is where the big investment opportunities, this is where the big changes come. And I'm seeing it change the work I do, you know, with human design, particularly over the last year or two, working with, you know, individuals for 6 months, 8 months at a time, so that they really experience and they come to grips with, you know, not just one-off consultations, but really apply it in their lives over a significant period of time, so it makes sense to them and they can relate it to what's really happening in their life. They can get a sense and a feeling for it. It grounds in their body. It's like planting a seed and nurturing it, or planting, you know, like Katai and I are now about to do up in Petrobon, is plant these tamarind trees and watch them grow, you know, from small little things in plastic that grew out of a seed. I've seen the little tamarind seeds. And then they grow into a tree, and now we have to plant them in the earth and care for them for 5 or so years so they can grow into a tamarind plantation with coconuts and all the other good stuff. Hey, 5 years, it's a 7-year period. Good timing, right? It's the time to take your stuff and put it in the earth. Now, that might not mean, you know, growing tamarind trees or anything else. It might mean you improve the quality of your finances, but you build it consciously and deliberately, not desperately, and by being loyal to who you are and true to yourself, and understanding your vulnerabilities, your weaknesses, and turning them into strengths, and understanding your strengths, and investing in them and developing them and sharing them with people. And using technology where it adds value, not just because it's there, but where it actually lifts you to it. You know, if you're into technology at the moment, invest in things that really add value to people in terms of bringing the best out of them. Seriously, that's where it's like, this is valuable. This brings more out of me in the real world, not just intellectually, not just spiritually. Hey, it can do that too, but it's got to have some substance in the real world where they see the value and feel the benefit and see themselves becoming more, not more distracted, not more caught up, more of who they find, more of who they are in who they are, and in doing what they're designed to do. And they use their openness, you might call it weakness, to attract the things that really support them and empower them to do what they truly are designed to do. This is where it's at. And it's not going to happen overnight. It's going to develop over the next 7 years. But if you're aware of this now, and you can see this is where it's going to take, wow. You know, it's not a matter of, like many of us, of dreaming of the new world coming, and now it's coming the way I dreamt it would. It's like, what is new here that's really of value? It's a time of discovery, of being more aware, not trying to impose our awareness on the world, but being more aware of where what we have could contribute to somebody. You know, I did a chart numerologically and also astrologically for this, as well as human design. And it comes down to a couple of really powerful things. And I'm not even going to share that with you because some of you will understand it and think it's great, but you can do that for yourself. And some of you will be like, what the hell? But here's the bottom line. It's time for change. Physically, in the physical world, real world, the energy of this particular shift where Uranus goes into Taurus, it's like physical change. You know, bring your life force and stick it in the earth, or get into touch with the earth, or anything that's earthy. It doesn't have to be physical earth. Anything, as I said, common sense, greater awareness, adds value, makes you feel real and like you're a human being, not floating out there in your mind or wanting to be something other than human, that allows you to accept your humanity and then allows you to change for the better so that you're more alive and more aware. It's like you're reborn so that you can succeed in the people that matter to you, in contributing something, some clarity about what it takes to succeed as a group together. You know, the people who you care about, your family, your friends, your tribe, if you want to call it that, your work group, your business, you know, really open up to that, you know, being sensitive to how can I change things in the physical world so there's like a rebirth, a re-energize. You know, when a seed splits and starts to grow, or when a sapling gets planted in the earth and then it's got all the nutrition it needs to really turn into a great tree, that's where it can contribute, protect the other trees as they grow, energize them. It's that sort of energy that's really strong now for the next 7 years. And along with that is really taking what you're capable of doing and sharing it in the moment with people. Really being an inspiration, a role model. Not a role model of other people or what other people have told you, but a role model of what the best you bring to the table as a unique human being. That's where the energy lies. And we're going to do that not so, our body is going to support us doing that. But Uranus in Taurus is about turning up as who you really are, making the changes physically so you can succeed in being who you are, not according to concepts and theories. A lot of it's going to be discovering who the hell you really are. That's why I work with the things that I do, especially human design. And that's why I take 6 months at a time to work with some of my clients. We work really in depth, because that's something, it's not just I tell you and you do it. It's something you've got to get in touch with and embrace within yourself. It's something that's got to be real, because it is real for you. And then be a role model of that. This is me in the now. You know, it goes way back to the old hippie days of be here now. Be yourself now. Live who you are now. Change so that you can enjoy your life in a physical body as a human being on your terms, in a way that adds value to everyone around you. That is not a pipe dream. There is enough clues, enough consciousness out there for this to happen and to spread. And what's fascinating about the human design chart for this particular time where Uranus goes into Taurus is there's a thing that it's called an incarnation cross. Some of you, what? What it actually means is, you know, what are you here to stand for when you get your act together? What is this setting up? So, you know, and it's called the cross of contagion. You know, it's time for consciousness to become contagious, because it works for real people in the real world, not because people have to conform to ideas, philosophies. Doesn't mean you reject ideas and reject philosophies, but you only embrace the ones that really add value to your life. And if they don't, find out what has to change. Find out what you didn't understand. Because there are real fundamental principles that aren't going to change, and yet we're capable of doing so much more than we were ever capable of doing in the past. Things that would have been inspirational stories. You know, the Vikings would have called the gods and the goddesses. We're now capable of doing that as everyday things. Living in a grand place, Valhalla, but it's grand for us on our terms. You know, doing things that they couldn't imagine there. They would have thought only the gods can do that. We can do those things. It doesn't make us gods. It makes us human beings who've grown and evolved and matured and brought consciousness into the real world. And made sure that it makes sense to everyday people. Otherwise, it just becomes mental dictatorship rather than physical dictatorship. One thing I'm learning, because I have a partner who's Thai, and there's a lot of people I know through her in her family and friends who are very down-to-earth people. You know, they literally live on the earth. And one thing I've learned is if it doesn't make sense to them, it's not going to make sense. You know, it might be something that they don't understand because it's technologically in a different realm than what they're used to. But when it comes to planting rice or doing everyday things, there are things I'm just a complete klutz at. But to them as common sense. And when I see them giving me advice about things like that, it's like, oh, based on real life experience. And there's a way where those things can marry together, where right out there, you know, amazing technological stuff or amazing spiritual or, you know, intellectual or innovative stuff can come to a point where people who are just really down to earth can go, I get it. I can see the value in that. When they see that, that's, you know, as someone who's pursued consciousness all their life, it's my incarnation cross for those of you who know human design. For someone who's pursued consciousness all their life, that's when I know I've got it and it's useful. You know, 8-9 days ago, I fell down and broke 5 ribs, or cracked them anyway, bruised them, cracked them, whatever. The doctor, the X-ray and the pain was both pretty clear, you know. And I've had to slow down speaking. I mean, I'm starting to wind up again because they're starting to get better, but I've got to be careful. But I slowed down, and I did a few consultations and a lot of master design sessions after the first 4 days when the pain had started to ease. And I slowed down and I got more grounded, and it made such a difference. I still did great sessions, but I created the space for other people to come in and show me their greatness and show me their ideas. And it just slowed the thing down, made it more down to earth. And it was beautiful. You know, there's so much beauty in the basics. You know, someone once said to me, the advanced work in anything is the basics done really well. And Uranus is advanced work. And Taurus is do the basics really well. And if we can bring that sense in, that's at least my advice to you, if you're listening to this. If you can bring that common sense, that beauty, that awareness of your beauty and your value, and then the value and beauty in other people, and in the physical world, amidst all the craziness that we're creating and going through and sorting out. You know, when you get up and you can breathe easily again, you know, without pain, gosh, you realise, you know, something so simple that we take for granted is such a gift. And this is where all our conscious development and growth, you know, starts really growing in the real world. This is the time. And where innovation and technology start becoming earth-friendly, people-friendly. Not in an idealistic way, in a way where the earth and technology, the earth and people can work together. They can learn from each other. One doesn't have to win. They can actually create relationships. And in terms of a relationship, this is an extraordinary period of time. This is where you can, you know, one of the deepest things on the feminine side of Taurus, the greatest gifts, is the gift of magic, real magic, not out there magic, not magic as you see it in the movies. You know, the greatest gift in magic is being able to change the world in alignment with your mind and your heart, using love, will, and imagination, with just, because we're human beings, a dash of really common sense. Is this just to entertain? Real magic helps people. Sometimes it's so simple and it's so based in love or will or imagination, the power of imagination, that we just, oh, that's not magic. I sometimes, when I'm up in Petrobon and, I'm just standing there amongst Katai's family, who are very down-to-earth, beautiful people, just their delight and their love, you can't describe it as rational. It sparks something truly magical. There's a little girl there who's, supposedly intellectually disabled, called Mai. And I cannot believe the love that just pours out of me towards her. That's magic. It's not rational, Oh, yes, I can explain it rationally, but it's more than that. She opens up a part of me that is just purely loving, purely just makes it great to be alive, and gives me a sense of what true love is. Because there's nothing about the shape of a body or anything like that that would, do all the normal stuff. It's just, here's a person who supposedly disabled and opens my heart effortlessly. That's magic. And this is what the next 7 years is about. Finding that in your life on your terms. It could be coming up with an incredible invention that's so technological and intellectual, but something about that lights you up and makes life so much better for other people. Love, will, and imagination, making things better, opening our minds by opening our hearts. This is what Taurus, at its real heart and core, is all about. And if you get a sense and a touch of that, maybe through this video or in your own way in your own life, you've got a real idea, a real connection, a real seed to what's happening in this next 7 years. Because if you stay close to that, you seek that, you discover that, you nurture that, you're going to have a great 7 years. So, said enough for now, and yeah, it's been a pleasure. And yeah, there's any number of ways you can contact me if you're interested in anything. But thanks for the opportunity to share this insight with you, and have a great next 7 years to come. And take it like Taurus, the ball, one step at a time, and being completely aware of what's going on in your environment as you're doing it. God bless you all.